These days, there is no shortage of attacks on Hillary Clinton. You know that, right? Latest accusation is that Clinton's campaign staff is planting questions in the audience. Let me show you what happened. This is at a recent campaign forum in Iowa. Play it, Will.
As a young person, I'm worried about the long-term effects of global warming. How does your plan combat climate change?
Well, you should be worried. And you know, I find as I travel around Iowa that it's usually young people who ask me about global warming.
Well, apparently, the young people asked because the young people were told to ask, and you couldn't see it because it was off camera, but some are saying that she actually winked when she was addressing the question. Critics say planting questions like this is dishonest. Conservative blogger and radio host Ed Morrissey agrees with that. He's the political director of Blog Talk Radio, and he's good enough to join us now. I take it, and look, this is vintage Clintonian. I mean, let's face it, the Clintons are masters at this type of thing. You know, it's a certain Machiavellian-ness involved in something like this. But let me stop myself there and say, don't all politicians do this?
Well, we certainly don't know if all politicians are doing it. We certainly know that Hillary Clinton's team has done it. And I would say that it may not even be Clintonian, because I think that Bill probably would have been able to get away with it and Hillary did not.
What do you mean by that? What do you mean by that? They both do it, but he'd get away with it and she wouldn't? What are you trying to say?
Well, I think he's smoother than she is, and I think that she's having a real struggle appearing authentic on the stump, and I think that this is a great example of why. She is coming across as very stiff and very inauthentic, and this type of thing certainly does not help.
But you know, it's funny, conservatives used to blame him. They called him Slick Willie because he was too slick, and now you're blaming her because she's not slick enough? I mean, you can't have it both ways, Mr. Morrissey.
There should be some happy middle. No, Rick, you know, the thing is that when you set up these Q&A sessions, it's there to give the impression that the candidate knows what the issues are, knows what he or she is talking about, has command of these issues at their fingertips. That's what the Q&A at these live events is supposed to communicate.
I agree with you. Listen, I agree with you. I think you're right. And I also think you're right on the point about the fact that he was much better at this type of thing than she is. I think most people can see that. But let me ask you this. I mean, the Bush administration, we've heard reports, they stack the audience with people who will only agree with them. They got agents in the parking lot pulling people away if they have a bumper sticker for Democrats. I mean, you know, this goes both ways, doesn't it, Ed?
Well, I'll tell you something, that is an issue. I think it's a somewhat different issue. I think that there's a concern there that you don't have a town hall situation that gets out of hand, but it's a different situation if you're planting questions. I will tell you, though, that it's an awful lot like the FEMA press conference that occurred a couple of weeks ago.
Right.
The fake press conference. I mean, that's in the same category. So I think that if you want to take a look at the Bush administration or the executive branch for an analog to what happened at Grinnell University with Hillary Clinton, that would be the appropriate analog. But planting questions in order to make the candidate look smarter.
Let me ask you.
That's just bail.
I'm with you. Let me ask you one quick question. Yes or no? She's saying she didn't even know the question had been planted. Do you buy that? Yes or no?
No.
No, I thought you might say that. I thought you might say that.
No, but I mean, why would you plant a question that the candidate wasn't prepared to answer? She had to know that question was going to come up.
It's a good answer. Ed Morrissey, good man. Thanks for being with us. I appreciate the conversation.
Thank you, sir.
Thursday on CNN, 8 p.m. Eastern, right here. The Democratic presidential candidates face off in Las Vegas. CNN's Wolf Blitzer is going to moderate the debate. He's going to be joined by John Roberts and Campbell Brown.